What's up, people? Welcome back to the Gunner Edge. Yeah. All right. I just needed to do this video because, honestly speaking, I'm tired of mainstream media and even some fan channels and how they try to force content or how mainstream media always consistently tries to spin the story and just add Arsenal into every conversation. I mean, regardless of the fact that they keep saying Arsenal is not good enough, Mikel Arteta cannot win anything, and the team is not going to be able to achieve anything under him. Yet you find a way to just, rope him into every conversation. It doesn't make any sense to me. The part that kills me is the negative spin on every single thing that this club does. Now, again, do I think that there's some conspiracy? No. I think that just because Arsenal, gets people a lot of views, they'll consistently try to target Arsenal as a means of getting their views. And, they'll continue to try to banter Arsenal, but it's getting tiring. Like, you're killing the enjoyment in banter if you keep doing things like this. There's a video that I want us to watch. I came across this video and I was like, I honestly, for the life of me, don't understand the comparisons. And I don't know why they're doing it. Why they're comparing Rúben Amorim with Mikel Arteta. Why someone like Sir Jim Ratcliffe would actually say the words that came out of his mouth about Mikel Arteta's first 50 games and compares that to, and then the mainstream news then takes it and then they run with it. And it's frustrating. I had to pixelate this video because I don't know if I'm going to get copyright infringement clipped on it. But I want us to watch this video and I'll give my views in between the video just as the video continually plays. All right.
Compared Rúben Amorim and Mikel Arteta, saying that the Arsenal manager had a miserable time over the first couple of years at Arsenal. Amorim has now managed 50 games at Manchester United, so we can compare his start to that of Mikel Arteta. Now, the first thing you're going to notice here is that Arteta had a better win rate.
All right, so at this point, I'm going to try to remove the blur that I put on this so that way we can actually see the stats here. All right, I don't think I should get any copyright for this one here. Now, this is frustrating. This is frustrating. Why are you comparing the first 50 games of these two managers? First and foremost, there are different circumstances with both clubs. Secondly, even though you want to you're comparing things that don't make any sense. Mikel Arteta still has a better win rate, right? Conceded less goals in his first 50 games, kept more clean sheets, more than double that of Amorim, conceded less 2+ goals and conceded less 3+ goals, and yet they need to rope him into the conversation. Like, that's the part that I'm trying to wrap my head around. Why does this have to be a narrative? Suddenly, there's not the international break weekend. There's not a lot of football going on. I mean, on the club level. So yeah, let's just make up a whole new story about Mikel Arteta's first 50 games from 2019 all the way to 2020. Like, by in 2025, for God's sake, let it rest. Let it rest. It gets really frustrating because you're like, what's the point? Like, are we going to do football talk now? Are we just going to consistently try to find a way to let's just find a way to just consistently, what's the word? Banter Arsenal or let's just make news because we know that we're going to get clicks and we're going to get views. It's frustrating. It takes away from the enjoyment of banter. I like to banter. I can take banter if you banter me genuinely. But if you constantly try to, you're trying to farm, content, you're trying to farm news that does not exist by coming up with something as dumb as this. But let's keep watching the video.
Amorim has won 8 fewer games than Arteta did in his first 50. They've scored a similar number of goals here, but it's the goals against which you'll see a major difference. Amorim's team has conceded 28 more goals than Arsenal did, and they've really struggled for clean sheets as well. They've conceded more than twice on 21 occasions, including against Grimsby and Burnley just this season, and they've conceded 3 or more goals on 9 occasions as well. They let in 4 at Newcastle and Brentford at the back end of last season.
Okay, so why this comparison? Mikel Arteta was a assistant manager who Arsenal was his first job as a senior manager, as a coach. Arsenal was his first job. Amorim, on the other hand, had experience. But you want to compare both of them. and you want to compare their first 50 games, even though Mikel still has a better record in his first 50 games than Amorim's first 50 games at United. But yet, they want to ignore the context that an experienced manager coming in from a team that had won already, coming into United, has this type of bad record. But no, let's compare him with the newbie manager who at the time was a fresh guy off the block who had never managed a senior team, never managed any team before Arsenal. Let's compare those records. Like, you see why it doesn't make any sense, right? You see why it doesn't make any sense to have this type of stuff in the news. And this is Sky Sports. It is disgusting. It is disgusting. They just have to find a way to rope Arsenal into the conversation. I want us to keep watching the video. Let's keep watching the video.
It's those heavy defeats which are harder to stomach for ex-players and, of course, the supporters as well. So Mikel Arteta built his side from the defence first, and he also showed a degree of flexibility. As you'll know, yes, we are talking about that formation again.
All right, I'm going to again remove the blur here, and let's see if I could I'm going to remove the blur here just for a second, and then we'll see if yeah, there we go. So we're looking at Mikel Arteta's formation and how flexible it was, and how Amorim's formation is rigid, and he doesn't want to change his 3-4-2-1 system. I don't care about all of this. If you want to talk about Amorim and how bad his first 50 games are as an individual manager who came all the way from Portugal with a successful record at Portugal and came to United and is finding it difficult, you can talk about that without having to rope in Mikel Arteta, who has a better record than Amorim's first 50 games in his first 50 games. Like, it doesn't make any sense. You know, I think it's just them being intentional, right, about creating fallacies about Arsenal and about Mikel Arteta, because there's nothing else I can think about. Well, let me skip the video to the front. I want to see. There's a part where he was saying something here that I don't remember. Let's skip.
And just to give you an idea of how things can change, this is Arteta's lineup for his 50th game in charge. Only Gabriel and Odegaard remain.
And now let's see what he says about Amorim.
How different then might we see a Rúben Amorim lineup in a couple of years' time? So let's take a closer look at Sir Jim Ratcliffe's quotes that Arteta struggled for a couple of years when he took over. We've got Arsenal's league position.
You know, I've got to say this. This is the league position. I don't care about all the stats anymore. If you guys want to see this video, go look for it. I'm not going to put a link down in the description. No, go find it. It's on Sky Sports. They do a lot of this nonsense that they like to do, which I think is just disingenuous of them. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, you know, focus on Manchester United and keep Arteta and Arsenal's name out of your mouth. I don't care, billionaire or not. Like, it doesn't make any sense anymore why all of you have to just find a way to just rope Arsenal into your conversation. After all, you've all said Arsenal is not good enough. You've all said they're not going to win. You've all said that the club is not going to be able to get over the line with Mikel Arteta. Why do you keep comparing people to him? If he's that bad a manager, if he's that terrible a coach, if he's that horrible at not being able to get over the line, why are you now comparing your people to him? You're comparing yourselves to someone you guys term as a failure. Yet you're using him as the benchmark to talk about what your managers should be doing. It doesn't, like, those two things cannot live in the same. If you want to compare him, I think what you want to do is you want to talk about how bad Rúben Amorim's team is right now, and say, well, let's see what his team will look like in the future, and compare him to Pep first 50 games, because Pep is the yardstick for what managers should be, right? So let's compare him to that. You stop calling one manager a failure and then trying to compare your managers and your teams to what he's built. It doesn't, those two things cannot live together, you know? So yeah, this is very, I'm almost triggered. I'm almost triggered by this because I'm just tired of the narrative. It's a consistent narrative that doesn't make any sense. It's a consistent narrative that just messes up the pool of what football is supposed to be about, the enjoyment of the banter of football, the enjoyment of being able to, banter each other's teams, when narratives that are not supposed to be in the media are being put into the media and being pushed hard by the media, and also being pushed by, fan channels as well. Some fan channels are literally now creating the same narrative, slowly but surely, that, they gave Mikel Arteta time, so maybe they should give. And I'm like, the conditions under which both teams hired the managers are very different. So there's a reason why they gave him the time. I don't know what that reason is by the ownership, but there's a reason they chose to do what they needed to do. If you want to copy that model, then be ready to go through the pain as well that Arsenal has gone through. Don't expect, that you're going to copy a model and you're not going to take the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes with it. Yeah. And at the end of the day, just sitting there and trying to compare Rúben Amorim, who was an experienced manager by the time he came to United, with Mikel Arteta, who had never had any experience except sitting beside Pep. Comparing both their first 50 games, that's just jokes. All right, people, I think I got that off my chest. That's exactly how I felt about this when I watched this video, and I just thought I'd make a video about it and talk about it. Please just stop comparing. And if you're going to talk about someone, talk about them directly, about what it is that they're doing, what they need to achieve, where they are, where they're supposed to be going to, and not always just trying to find a way to rope us into every conversation. So thank you very much for watching the video. Like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you guys in the next video.